Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. This episode is brought to you by Wendigo Tea. Go to the website wendigotea.com, that's WENDIGOTEA.com, and check out their list of teas, including the Siren. It's my personal favorite. It's a throat health herbal tea. I use it mostly for when I have to do a podcast or if I have a cold or some kind of irritation in my throat. This really does help. I mean, it's got some of the best ingredients in the world. They're all organic, hand-picked. Sky spares no expense when it comes to this, so you're getting the best ingredients in the world. It's like ginger and honey. It's super strong. It coats your throat, and it's perfect. I mean, if you're singing, if you're a podcaster, anything like that, anything that you're an announcer, you can use this tea, and it helps you maintain your instrument. So go to the website. You can check out the other teas they have. Black tea, they've got Earl Grey, they've got green tea, they've got chai. Pick one up today and use the promo code RRBG, and you'll get 15% off of your order. It's awesome. Support your friends. Speaking of supporting, I've started a Patreon page. If you go to the website patreon.com, that's patreon.com/rockandrollbeerguy, you'll get taken to the portal where you can donate. $1 is just a thank you. And for $5, you can get access to exclusive content like the Psycho interviews, including bands like Andrew WK, Red Fang, CKY. Plus, there'll be new episodes of things that I'm working on that I think you guys will enjoy. It'll be exclusive just to the patrons. There's other tiers too. I mean, if you want to sign up for $10, we'll give you a shout out on the show, stuff like that. So just be a part of the community. Jump on in there. Patreon.com/rockandrollbeerguy. Support the podcast so I can keep doing this. It's not free to do. In this episode, I talked to Jean-Paul Gaster of the band Clutch. We talk about their new album, The Book of Bad Decisions. We talk about the upcoming tour and then the next Earth Rocker Festival. We talk about his life on the road, what it's like writing music, all his other projects that he's got going on. I mean, I had a great conversation with him. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and cheers.
Please allow me to adjust my pants so that I may dance the good time dance and put the onlookers and innocent bystanders into a trance. Give disease so the swine will marry and propagate lies. Tough luck for elected officials. The beast you see got 50 eyes.
Hey there.
Hey, JP, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for taking some time to do this.
No problem. And I apologize for blowing it the other day.
No worries, dude. I mean, I know you guys were just launching the new album and probably had a million things to do, so.
Yeah, we were rehearsing and getting ready to go on tour. It's getting ready to be crunch time, and unfortunately some stuff falls through the cracks, so I apologize for that.
No worries. Welcome, everyone, to the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. I'm sitting here with Jean-Paul Gaster of Clutch.
Yes.
Yeah, so you guys just released a new album, Book of Bad Decisions.
We did. We released just yesterday, and we're very excited about it. We recorded the record back in February, mixed it in March, and spent the last few months setting it up and getting ready for the release of the album. So we're stoked.
Very cool. What's the story behind the Book of Bad Decisions?
Well, the title itself actually comes from one of the tunes that we wrote. That one being the track "Book of Bad Decisions." Mm-hmm. That tune kind of took shape over the last summer, and it was started out pretty much as a 12-bar blues. We were kind of going for kind of a Chicago sound, kind of a Buddy Guy kind of a feel, mm-hmm. That riff, and the song just kind of blossomed from there. It was one of the easier ones to put together. It sort of wrote itself once we kind of settled on a form. The rest of it kind of came together fairly easily. But it wasn't the intention to call the record Book of Bad Decisions. That was just another tune that was on the album. And until we were sequencing the record where we realized that would make a good title for the album itself. For us, that's always been the most frustrating part of the process is trying to decide on a title. And I think we came up with a good one.
Yeah, no, I really like it. It fits the vibe of the band. The band's always had this cool live kind of a party vibe. You know what I mean? Every time I've seen you guys live, it's always a good time. There's always, drinking to be had and just good fun times. So it fits the vibe of making bad decisions, going out and partying, and
Right.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah, you guys produced this with Vance Powell over at Sputnik Studios or Sputnik Sounds, and I read that, or you guys released 12 or 14 little video clips with behind the scenes of how the album was made. Where'd that idea come from?
Well, we've been doing just really the Earth Rocker release. I think we realized that really the setup of the album is crucial. We started our own label probably about 10 years ago, and each release that we've done has been it's been a learning process. And I think we figured out early on in the process of Earth Rocker that putting these little bits of video out, these little bits of documentation of the process, the recording process, whether it's in the studio or whether we're writing the tune, all that stuff is I think is interesting to the fans, and I think it helps to build awareness for the album. And ultimately, we're looking to have the very best first week that we can. It is after all the music business, and although the business has changed considerably, we're not different than any other label out there. We ultimately want to sell some records, and so all that stuff helps.
For sure. I mean, that's why I asked, because it's one of those things that right now we're living in a time where videos on YouTube are actually very popular. There's a lot of YouTube goers and subscribers, and there's a lot of content out there. So it helps that you have stuff that people can look at, people can see, and get a view of how you guys record, because you guys recorded this album live, right? It was kind of a live setting. It wasn't a...
Yeah, we try to. And I think the other part of the equation too is putting stuff up that is meaningful and not just throwaway stuff. So I always kind of look at it like through the lens of a fan, and for me, probably my two favorite rock bands would be the Bad Brains or Black Sabbath. And so I always think to myself, if the Bad Brains were in the studio and they release a little, a little clip of HR cutting a vocal or of Doc playing a guitar solo, as a fan, I want to watch that. I want to check that out, and ultimately it would make me excited for the release. And so I just kind of use that mentality for Clutch. I think to myself, if the Bad Brains would have done it, do I think that would have been cool? And if the answer is yes, probably I would do it for my own band.
That's a good call. That's a good call. And I wanted to ask you, so the last record, Psychic Warfare, debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts, and hard rock and regular rock charts. So what does that do for you, since you own your own label and everything? How does that affect you financially, or like what is getting the Billboard #1 do for a band?
Well, I mean, I guess you could argue that it doesn't really do much of anything these days in the current state of album sales. It doesn't.
Right.
It's changed considerably since 20 years ago. And by that I mean that the numbers themselves they look nothing like they did 20 years ago. So, for example, if a new record came out back then, it might come out and sell 750,000 copies in the first week, or even 1 million copies in the first week. Where these days labels are very excited to sell 5,000 copies in the first week, and that's just kind of the reality of the business. But
right.
The positive side of it, it's great. This is an amazing thing, because here we are, 27 years into our career. We have our own label now. We run our own infrastructure. And so to have something like, a position that you can be proud of is exciting to us, because we really built it from the ground up. So who knows what the results will be next week when the numbers come in. But at this point, we're just thrilled to be able to put music out the way we want to, and have a reception from the fans that's positive.
For sure. I mean, you're definitely in that part of your career where you're fully making all your money, I guess, from the band itself and the label. Am I correct with that?
Well, I mean, if you're asking if I have a straight job, that I do not have a straight job. No.
Right. Yeah.
I have not had a straight job for probably 25 years.
Nice. Oh, that's quite an accomplishment right there.
I'm with you, man. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, because especially nowadays, I have 4 jobs, so it's a rough time right now for anyone that's trying to do something creative. So it's good that you guys have that that foundation from years of doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And at this point, we all realize too that none of us could work a job. I think maybe I would be lucky to be. I don't know. Maybe I could work in the lumber department at Lowe's or something. I mean.
Yeah.
But we're hoping this thing works out.
For sure. I mean, I think it's already working. So, for sure. So you guys do a lot of touring. Are you in a bus at this point?
Yeah, we're in a bus, and these days we've got a truck that we're taking on the road as well. We're stepping up the production on this one. We've never actually toured with a lighting guy and lights, and we're going to do that for the first time on this tour. So that's going to be exciting.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah, so we'll have a bus and a truck.
A full 18-wheeler, huh?
Yeah, man.
That's great. Yeah, I used to do stage production over in the arena out in Miami, and it always blew my mind, and it became kind of a game to see how many trucks these bands are showing up with. Like Aerosmith showed up with 25 semi trucks, and it just blew my mind. But they bring in. There's an entire semi just for their green room, their locker or their dressing room. They bring their own furniture and carpeting and plants. It's insane.
Right.
Yeah, man. So you guys are big beer dudes, at least in my eyes, because you have a beer with New Belgium, or 2 beers, right?
Yeah, we did a collaboration with them. I mean, the first time we did it, it was several years ago, probably 8 years ago, I'm thinking. And the idea then was to do a sour stout. That was at that point, that was something that really was the market. Sour beers were just sort of coming into popularity. Mm-hmm. And we did a tour of the new brewery, and we met Eric Salazar at the brewery. He really introduced us not only just to sour beer, but the process of making it. And it was super interesting because I hadn't been exposed to sour beer in that before, so it really made an impression on us. And so when we had the opportunity to do the collaboration with them, we wanted to try something a little different. At that point, everybody and their brother was making IPAs and trying to sort of out-hop one another, which I love too. But this was just, in true Clutch form. If everybody else is doing something, we're probably going to do the opposite. And so that's how we came up with the concept of the sour stout.
Very cool. Now, did you have any brewing experience before? Did you home brew?
Yeah. We brewed a few batches of beer back in the early days of Clutch. Myself and Dan, actually, we had a band house, and we brewed a few batches here. They weren't awesome, but I'll tell you. They did come in handy because I can remember very specifically, finishing a tour and being very broke, but having realized that the beer that we had made prior to the tour had been sitting in our very dusty basement at the time. We let it age there for, I don't know, it was a couple 3 weeks, something like that, and it was great. And it was very gratifying to be able to drink your own beer, and it came in at the perfect. Because we were broke, so that was awesome.
Well, I want to keep asking you about beer, but since you brought that up real quick, how many years into the career of your band was it before you were coming back from tour and you weren't completely broke?
I mean, as a musician, you never really have a true sense of financial security. You always are. You're one show away from being able to pay your mortgage or pay your health insurance or whatever the case may be. It was a long road, but it's something that we still pay attention to. I think the key is to not if you're in this business to make money, you're in the wrong business. It's the worst place to be. If you want to make music and be creative and work hard, this is a place for you. If you're looking for a great financial reward or job security or some kind of a retirement plan, you don't even bother with this game.
For sure. Oh man. Going back to the beer then. So when I thought of a clutch beer, like when I heard that you guys were making a beer, my mind went straight to like a Pilsner or something you could chug at a party. Right. Is there plans to maybe do something like that, like a crushable something, not super hoppy or anything, just a lager or a Pilsner?
At the time, no, but I'll tell you, being in a band, I think for me one of the most exciting parts of it is being able to travel the world and try not only beer but local foods, and that's something I get great enjoyment out of. So although sort of my go-to brew would be an IPA or a nice Saison, I try all styles and I enjoy all styles. I think the main thing is that they be local and they be fresh, and if I can try one of those and they have those qualities, chances are I'll enjoy it. So when we're in Germany, you have those great lagers, those great pilsners. The beer scene in Scandinavia is really good now. There's all kinds of good stuff happening up there, stouts and IPAs and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, my tastes actually run the gamut, and I'm happy just to taste anything, so long as it's fresh and local.
For sure, but I meant like if you're gonna do another clutch beer, would you do a Pilsner or a lager like that? And if you would, like, would you rather go to like a brewery in Germany and get it done right?
I think we would be willing to work with anybody who wanted to work with us.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have any specific plans to go, to a brew at the moment, but we're always open.
For sure, man. I think you guys should keep that going. It's something that seems to be growing, and there's more bands doing it, but you guys can really do a crafty version. Like if you guys go to Germany and make a real German lager out there, I think that'd be really cool, or like a Czech Pils, something like that.
Right.
But I definitely feel like your band, I mean, I'm not sure if everybody in the band drinks, but it definitely is a band that I enjoy drinking too.
Well, good.
Yeah, for sure. I have some Facebook questions. I made a post on Facebook, and I had a bunch of people reply. Okay, so so Darren Sanders says hi.
Cool.
And then I also have Ross Hurt says hi from Riggs' dad.
Yep.
He asked if there's ever going to be a Jack Potential reunion.
Probably no time soon. Jack Potential was a project that I did very early on, featuring Jay Robbins on bass and my buddy Matt, who used to sing in a hardcore band called Worlds Collide, and Mike Carbon played guitar in that, and that was a cool thing because that happened very early on. I'm thinking probably 1991 or 92 even. And prior to that, I was in Clutch, but I really hadn't had the opportunity to really get out and play with other folks in that capacity, and so I was kind of nervous about that. I remember, hoping that I would do a good job at the recording studio, and I did the best I could. I think it turned out pretty good.
Nice. I also have my buddy Will. He sent me a picture of a young lady named Allison, who apparently is a huge fan, a scientist, and practically fought her way to get a drumhead signed by you, and
Wow.
she had a friend who tragically died, and Clutch was the soundtrack of their friendship, and she wants to say how grateful she is for your autograph for that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's heavy.
that's heavy stuff, man.
That's. I mean, I'm pleased that they enjoyed our music.
Yeah. So I got favorite tour and favorite restaurant to visit while on tour.
Favorite tour. There's been a bunch of them. You know, we've had the opportunity to play with Head on a couple tours. Those were amazing. We did a UK tour with them, and then we did a US tour, and both those tours were amazing. The Motorhead crew were great to us. Of course, watching Motorhead every night was super inspiring. Probably those would probably be my favorite tours. We did tours with Sepultura very early on. One for the Chaos AD tour and one European tour on Boots, and that was great too. Those guys were really cool to us, and they were very supportive at a time when we were just a baby band. You know, we really didn't know much about anything at that point, and they took a liking to our music and brought us on tour a couple times, and we're very grateful for that. That was amazing. And then, you know, we still get the opportunity to play with some of our favorite bands, you know, that are also friends of ours, like Corrosion Conformity. I always enjoy doing shows with those guys.
Nice.
Mastodon is another band. We seem to cross paths every few years and do some tours. Those guys are always great. I very much enjoy their music.
Oh, yeah. Love those dudes.
Brian Tyler is especially, you know, he's one of my favorite drummers to watch out there. I think to call him a metal drummer is kind of doing him a disservice. I think he offers more than that, you know, in the sense of the musician. You know, he's fully formed, and he I think he understands groove, and he has a very tasteful way of playing, and I enjoy his playing quite a bit.
Oh yeah, and he loves beer.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And we've shared many after-show beers together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I've hung out with him when they came out here and played the Palladium on 420, which was hilarious. And we ended up sharing a couple sour beers from Belgium and a couple things I brought. It was good times.
Nice.
Yeah. Another question on Facebook is King Hobo going to do another album. Are there any side projects in the future? And what's your favorite song on the new album? All from the same person.
Well, as far as King Hobo goes, yes. There is a new record. We will be releasing it probably first quarter of next year.
Nice.
It's an album that I recorded with those guys probably, it's been a few years now. It kind of sat in the vaults. Just last year we finally managed to get it mixed up. And so it's ready for release. We'll be releasing that digitally and on vinyl, probably first quarter of next year. And then as far as side projects go, I'm always involved with stuff. There's always things I'm doing. I just recently cut drums for a new Lion Eyes record, which I'm very proud of.
Nice.
Those guys will be releasing that album probably first quarter of next year as well. I play with a blues rock guitarist here locally called Mike Westcott. Got a couple records with him. I just did a rehearsal with my buddy Mike Dillon and an excellent guitarist that plays here locally called Mark Stanley, and Hank actually, who plays bass in Lion Eyes. So we have a project that we're doing called Brain Song, and that's coming together. We'll probably record sometime early next year. And what else? And I'm doing a side project too with Mark Morton from Lamb of God, and Yanni Papalopoulos, who plays bass in Stinking Elizaveta.
Nice.
And we've recorded songs, and we'll record some more at the beginning of the year, and that will get released sometime next year as well. So there's a lot of irons in the fire. I try to stay busy.
I hear that. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know how you have the time or brain space to keep all that information in there, but
Not either. No.
yeah. And then she also asked, "What's your favorite song on the new album?"
It's kind of hard because it's so new right now. We've actually been in rehearsal this week, relearning some of the songs that we haven't played yet since the studio. I had a good time playing Laura.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up real bad.
Uh-oh. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Lorelei is cool because I played the verses on brushes, and that's something that I don't do a whole lot with clutch. So do verses with on the brushes and then switching to the sticks chorus is kind of challenging and fun. It requires a little bit of choreography and that stuff together. But I'm working on that. That one's good. I enjoy playing How to Shake Hands. A couple shuffles on there too. Wranglers, fun play. A good fire is a good shuffle. Playing shuffles. And then there's some funk on there too. Sonic Counselors is a good one. They're all fun to play, and rhythmically they sort of each occupy their own space.
Nice. So, my buddy Joseph, the Sheik, and Amy both say hi, and they had a couple questions of their own.
Okay.
You've played Red Rocks a couple times in the future? In the future, sorry. You've played Red Rocks a couple times in the past, opening up for someone. Mm-hmm. Are you planning a headliner there at some point in the future?
It would be nice. We don't have a plan to do that just yet, but I would just suspect that at some point on this record cycle, I'd like to see that happen. Red Rocks is an amazing place. It's kind of a natural amphitheater cut in the side of a mountain, and it is it's beautiful. It's the view is outstanding. It sounds great in there as well. And it's kind of hard to play a bad show there. I think probably the last time we played there, we were with Mastodon, and nice. I think that was probably one of the most enjoyable shows I've ever done. I can remember getting up there, and the energy was such that all I had to do really was just sit at the drums, and everything kind of just happened. The music played through me, and it felt great. It was very effortless, and I felt very relaxed and just very happy to be there. It was a great vibe.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be the best seat in the house, the drum set. I mean, I've seen that place. I was there not recently, but about a year ago to see Opeth and Gojira, and I've seen pictures of my friends playing there from the drum set, and it's just so outstanding. The view and the crowd, that's such a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is there any other spot in the world that has that kind of visual stimuli and audio perfection with the acoustics and everything?
I would say it'd be tough to beat that. We did have some really great shows last summer with Primus, in which we played a lot of outdoor venues, and I can remember playing some really nice ones. There was one in Burlington, Vermont that comes to mind immediately, where we were right on the water. And it was amazing. During the course of the set, I was able to look across the water. I saw a sunset. I saw flocks of geese. I saw fairies come in and out. The wildlife, and it all happened right before me. Just while we were the show, it was nearly distracting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was beautiful. I enjoy playing outdoors. I think in a lot of ways playing outdoors is but just playing is difficult only in that you're struggling a little bit to get all the energy out. There's a lot of I think the walls sort of like keep the music in, and with play up where music just comes out a little easier.
Right. There's a venue I've seen pictures of. I believe it's somewhere in the UK or Sweden somewhere, but it's like a castle outside.
I remember that. I'm sure. We just did a gig in Ohio Mansfield, and
You're breaking up again. I'm sorry.
You there? Hello? You there?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
We were venue in Ohio. It was actually an old prison. It was the prison that was featured in the movie Shawshank Redemption, and it's kind of crazy because it was really a very beautiful building for being a prison, and that was fun. It was outdoors and out in the country, and that was really nice. And that prison kind of looked like a castle, so maybe that's the one you're thinking of. I don't know.
That might be. Yeah. Let's see. I also have from Joseph. He said that the new record is a double record, and the last two were a lot shorter, and seems to be a big departure with the reintroduction of piano and the organ. What was the reasoning behind maybe doing a double record this time? And are you planning on taking Chris Brooks from Lion Eyes to play keyboards on tour with you?
The idea for it being a double album was kind of that was an afterthought. We wrote 15 songs with the intention of putting 10 or maybe 11 on the record, which is traditionally what we do, and keeping the other tunes as B-sides and maybe using those for whatever other purpose would come up. And the trouble came when it came time to sequence the album. That meant that we had to cut some songs, and then we had to figure out some kind of order for the songs to live in. And I think between the four of us and Vance, we had 5 different ideas for sequence, and all of those ideas involved using different songs or omitting different songs. So I think somewhere along the way, we decided that we would try this idea of a double record, and I can remember thinking let's sequence these 15 songs as if they were 4 sides vinyl. And once we did that, the process of sequencing the record it became much easier. We were clearly able to see what songs could open a side and what songs would close a side, and the whole thing kind of made a lot more sense. So when you listen to the record front to back, I think it's cool to think about that. It's really sort of 4 sides of vinyl or 4 chapters, if you will.
Nice.
And that's ultimately how it ended up happening. We didn't intend to put out a double record, but we're proud of it. It's probably the longest record we put out since probably Robot Hive Exodus, I think. And
Nice.
And we're proud. I think it's all filler. It's all killer and no filler.
It's all killer, no filler. Nice.
Yeah.
And then, so were there plans on taking Chris with you guys from Lion Eyes?
Yeah, there could be. We toured for a long time with an organist for a while. We've had our buddy Eric, who played harp with us for a while. We always have guest musicians coming on tour with us. We don't have any plans to bring anybody with us out currently, but that's the beauty of being in Clutch. There are no rules, and we can we are not beholden to anybody. So we change stuff up all the time. You never know.
Nice. He also wanted to know since you guys do select your song list for shows democratically between your members, it kind of rotates. Do you guys do that as well for all things band related, or is there someone who's kind of like the band leader that makes more of the decisions?
Well, as far as the set list go, we take turns writing the set list, and we've been doing that now for probably 20 years. Mm-hmm. And the idea there was that by doing that, we would have a wider catalog of songs to pull from, and just switching up the order of the tunes just changes the vibe from night to night. There are a lot of bands who are really good at getting out there and playing the exact same set list every night. And saying the same stuff in between the songs, and I suppose if you can, if you can keep yourself happy doing that, more power to you. Right. We in Clutch can't do that. It's that'll get boring really quick, and so we really make it a point to make each show unique. So the show that you see tonight will not be the show that happens tomorrow night, and it won't be the show that happened last night. And I think because of that, there are a lot of folks who travel to see us play, and we're grateful for that. And I think we keep that in mind when we do these set lists. I think that's especially the case too when we play, 2 nights back to back in a particular venue. We always make it a point to play, sometimes a completely different set list. But this makes for a real musical scenario, a real musical environment, in which the fans are engaged and we're having a good time, and the band, the fans are having a good time, because if that's not real, the fans will see through it. For a band like Clutch, there's not a lot of production. There's not a lot of costume changes. There's no ego boxes on stage. It really is just about the music, and if the music's not happening, I think the fans would see through that in a moment's notice.
For sure. And I appreciate that. I mean, that's kind of like, I want to say Pearl Jam used to do that. Didn't they release a whole bunch of live albums because every set was kind of different? Am I making that up?
No, that could be the case. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like that's timeless. It feels timeless. It feels like, when a band does something like that, that's gonna change the perspective of the fan, and like you said, make them want to travel. Like I know Joseph and Amy travel. I was talking to him last night. They had a show, and he was mentioning how they're traveling to come see you at 2 different shows, because they like to go. They make it a point to go to see you guys in states that they've never seen you guys. It's like a journal thing for them, like a collecting thing.
Right. Well, my wife and I do that sometimes as well. We'll travel to go see music somewhere and just kind of experience a new town. I can remember traveling to see the Allman Brothers, going up to Pennsylvania or down to Virginia to do that, or going to New York City sometimes to go see shows. I think that's cool. It's a good way, I think, to check out a town, and then you get to see a show at the same time. I can totally relate.
Yeah, no, I love that. Whenever I've traveled, I've been working in the beer industry for years, and they used to send me around to do festivals and, go to like Great American Beer Fest in Denver, or go to Extreme Beer in Boston, or stuff like that. And I always made it a point to try and find a show to go see while I was out there.
Yeah, you get kind of a feel for the town, I think, when you check out the music venue.
For sure. Yeah, Great American Beer Fest would always put together, like last time I went, I think I Hate God was performing, and I know Ken Mode I've seen there as well. So I really enjoy that. I don't know, I feel like I don't understand people that don't do stuff like that don't travel as much, or don't want to see the world. Like, some people want to but can't afford it. I just don't get the folks that, no, I'm good. I'm good in my hometown doing the same thing every day. It's like, I don't know, man. That's not great.
Yeah.
Open your horizons a little bit.
Yeah, those people probably wouldn't do very well on the road.
No, not at all. Is there any? Speaking of the road again, is there anything you like doing on long drives? Do you like to read? Do you watch movies or something like that?
Yeah, I like to read. I'll take a book with me on tour. I have a practice pad that I take with me, and I spend a lot of time doing that. I don't really watch a whole lot of movies on the road. I usually save that for international flights.
Okay.
I would say that I mostly read and I practice, quite honestly.
You don't have any hobbies outside? I mean, I don't even understand how you would have time for a hobby, but do you have a hobby like hunting or cooking or gaming, anything like that?
I've got a tomato garden that I spend a lot of time in.
Tomato garden, nice.
Yeah, we had a great tomato year this year.
How large is the garden?
Let's see, what do we got out there? We've got probably, I don't know, I think we probably had about 10 tomato plants out there this year. And we do a little bit of everything. We got some hot peppers out there. We got some greens out there. Cucumbers were good, but they kind of died off early because it was so hot.
Oh, nice.
Zucchinis were good this year. I tried some eggplants this year. They were not, so just to try it.
Yeah, and then ultimately what I had was, what's the end game? Do you plan on just touring until your legs fall off, or do you have some, like, you want to open up a restaurant? Like, is there a final plan at the end of your career with Clutch?
I'm here to play drums, and I'm going to play drums until I can't play drums anymore.
Nice.
I do not have. I don't have aspirations to open a restaurant or, whatever you might want to do. Open a
right.
Some kind of a family renovation business, or no. I'm not here to do any of that stuff. I'm here to play drums.
Hell yeah, like a true rocker. That's how you got to do it.
That's right.
Cool, brother. The last thing also I had was, I have to mention it, my buddy Rue named his dog after you. We lived together for a while, and I remember him, he's like, introduced the dog into the picture. He's like, "Hey, this is my dog Clutch." And I'm like from a car? He's like, "Nope, like the band." I'm like, "All right."
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Is he very loud?
He was.
Of course he was.
That's awesome, man. So what's the tour looking like for you guys now, coming up for the album release? What's the cycle? Is it a whole year, or what are you looking at?
Oh yeah, we'll be busy for quite some time. We got a U.S. tour lined up that we will start next week, and then after that we'll head over to Europe, and then we'll come back to the States. We're going to do another headliner first quarter of next year. And then we'll see what comes down the pike. But I'm sure we're going to stay busy on this record for a couple of years.
Nice. Do you make the decision as to who goes on the road with you, and who would you pick out of some of the newer bands, if you could pick who to go on the road with you?
Well, I can tell you that on this time around, we have, as far as the newer band, we have Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown. Those are guys that work with Vance Powell, and we met those guys when we were in Nashville. Very cool dudes, and they make good music. And then this fall in Europe, we have a couple bands that are new that I have not seen before, but I'm excited about checking out. One is a French duo called Inspector Clouseau.
I like that name.
Yeah, they're cool. They're kind of a noisy, kind of, in some parts kind of remind me of Tom Waits a little bit. And then another band called Picture Books, who I have not seen before either. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And when we go to pick the openers, it's a little bit of who's available. It's a little bit of who we like. Certainly there are some politics that go into it as well sometimes, but for the most part, we have the opportunity to play with bands that we like and music that we like. And if we don't like the music, they generally don't go on tour with us.
Nice. Are you guys doing another Earth Rocker Fest this year or next year?
That's definitely the plan. We just did one in July, and that was the second one that we've done, and it was great. It was super successful. We sold more tickets than we did the first year, and we had a blast doing it. So yeah, we're already talking about that. We'll schedule that for sometime next summer.
Very cool. If you were going to do some fantasy booking, who are some of the big names you'd like on the number 3?
How about Black Sabbath and the Bad Brains?
Ooh.
And maybe we'll get P-Funk to headline the whole thing.
Nice. Very cool, man. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to do this.
Sure.
Everybody that's listening, make sure to pick up Book of Bad Decisions. It's what's the name of your label right now?
Weathermaker,
right. I wrote that down. It's right in front of me. Jesus. Weathermaker Music. Pick it up now. You guys have vinyl and different colors and stuff like that, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah, we have all the formats. We got a couple CD formats, and we have a few vinyl formats. We got 7 inches. We got it all.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thanks again, brother, and hopefully I'll catch you next time you're in Southern California.
Sounds great. Very nice talking with you.
Nice talking. Cheers.
the sun, deep in the heart of July. There to perform for children of corn whose crops stood well 12 foot high. 3 names remain to the end of the day. We refuse their violent treats. Standing our ground, we played for the years between the harvester's teeth. Great plains, harbor sings, men are bitter beers, but Lord, they're mean. And though my mind is playing, I shot to hell. The details of the night I remember well. Gravel and locusts, they swore to rope us. We did our best to steer straight. Trailering hit straight into the ditch, praying to Jesus and the holy saints. Despite the violence, sometimes I look back on nostalgia begins to take hold. Wisdom of sorts is found in due course in the rows of silver and gold. Great plains, hardcore sings, men are bitter biggest, but Lord, they're mean. And though my mind is playing, I'm shot to hell. The details of the night I remember well. Give me the keys, take the keys, not guarantee. Give me the keys, and get the hell out of Dodge. Hey man, we don't got your SN57. Look dude, why don't you try some old-fashioned DNA? We ran for hours, then hours grew into years. Stalked by the fury of John Brown's eyes, and still the storm hasn't cleared. Despite the mileage, sometimes I look back on nostalgia begins to take hold. Wisdom of sorts is found, of course, in rows of silver and gold.